Borderlands 3 really does have a whole whackload of good weapons. So many that I actually needed to do a part 2 of this video, and maybe even a part 3. Hey everyone, I'm Constant Canadian, and these are 8 of the most overpowered weapons in Borderlands 3, part 2. If you enjoy this video, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe as it really helps the channel grow. Starting off the list is the Skull Masher. The Skull Masher is a Jacobs sniper rifle that shoots 5 high damage projectiles in a tight spread. The Skull Masher is essentially a long range shotgun with a super tight spread and insanely fast fire rate. The Skull Masher has been in every single Borderlands game. In Borderlands 1, it was a powerful sniper. However, in Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel, the weapon got a massive glowdown and ended up being almost completely useless, which is why its triumphant return in Borderlands 3 is so important. The Skull Masher is one of Borderlands 3's best snipers, and is capable of greatness in everybody's hands, though it is especially powerful with flak. If you want one for yourself, it can be world dropped from any source in the Guns, Love, and Tentacles DLC, and has an increased chance to drop from Ista the Invincible, and an even further increased chance to drop from the True Tink of Cunning. Up next we have the Soulrender. The Soulrender is a legendary assault rifle manufactured by Dahl that is available in all 5 elements as well as full auto, burst, and semi-auto firing modes. The Soulrender has pretty decent damage, accuracy, and fire rate. However, this gun's special effect is what makes it truly powerful. The Soulrender, upon firing, has a random chance to send out purple skulls that home in on enemies. Originally, these skulls only did around 2 times the base damage of the weapon, which was pretty underwhelming. But now, after a buff, they are insanely powerful, dealing a whopping 20 times the base damage of the weapon, meaning that with the right parts, the skulls will be dealing around 520,000 damage per hit as splash damage. And these skulls, while they're not 100% of the time, fire off pretty damn frequently and can wreak absolute havoc on the battlefield, especially when buffed by splash damage bonuses. Plus, the Soulrender also has this super cool, super unique weapon skin that is probably one of the best in the game, so that's always a plus. If you want one for yourself, it drops exclusively from Tom or Zam in the Guns, Love, and Tentacles DLC map, Heart's Desire. Up next is another assault rifle, this time manufactured by Jacobs, the Rowan Call. The Rowan Call, not to be confused with its inferior brother from another mother, the Lucian's Call, is an assault rifle that, on critical hits, will add 2 bullets to the magazine and ricochet 2 homing orbs at the nearest enemies, dealing splash damage. Although the Rowan's Call is locked to fire, shock, or radiation, it is still absolutely formidable for both mobbing and bossing. This weapon pairs a very high base damage with a moderately high fire rate and ammo regen capabilities, with the only real downside of this weapon being its subpar accuracy. The Rowan's Call used to be pretty mediocre and not even really worth farming, but in June of 2021, Gearbox gave this gun a massive buff of 300% weapon damage, immediately skyrocketing it to at least a top 10 spot among other assault rifles. The Rowan's Call does in fact have a dedicated drop, however it's Red Rain, who is an absolute nightmare to farm, as 90% of the time its loot falls into the void below. So the best way to farm for one of these things would be through world drops, either from the Slaughter Shaft or a boss of your choice. This gun is definitely worth the extra bit of effort to get though, and works amazing on all characters as long as your aim is true. This next weapon may be a bit of a surprise to anyone who's seen my top 9 biggest glowdowns in Borderlands 3 video, but it's the Uncamped Herald. Before I go any further, I just want to clarify. The weapons in that video were not weapons that suck, merely weapons that are worse than in previous games. I certainly could have communicated that better, and that's my bad. However, while I am not going to disagree that the Herald is insanely powerful in Borderlands 3, I will never agree that it's better than it was in Borderlands 2. Anyway, with that out of the way, the Uncamped Herald is a legendary pistol manufactured by Torg. The Uncamped Herald is Borderlands 2's figure weapon, being obtainable early on and being incredibly powerful. And while it is certainly less powerful in Borderlands 3, it is still a really good choice for any character. This weapon fires 3 bullets that split into 7 after a short distance. The Herald has insanely high damage and decent accuracy for the type of weapon it is, with its biggest downside being its pretty high ammo consumption, consuming 3 or 4 ammo per shot depending on the parts, which means it'll eat through your ammo pretty quickly if you're not careful with it. The Uncamped Herald is added to Borderlands 3 through its 3rd DLC, Bounty of Blood, and drops from any source within that DLC, but has an increased chance to drop from Caber Dowd in the Blood Sun Canyon map. The Phasor is a rags to riches story for the ages. Way back when it first released, the Phasor was fine, but not really anything to write home about. But now, it's an absolute machine of death and destruction. The Phasor is a legendary assault rifle manufactured by Vladof that comes in all elements, and at one point was pretty mid-tier, but now it's absolutely cracked. All Vladof weapons come with underbarrel attachments, like bipods which increase accuracy and handling at the expense of movement speed, double barrels which increase fire rate, grenade launchers, and shotguns. Normally, these underbarrel attachments aren't all that important, being useful but not necessary. This is not the case with the Phasor, as its underbarrel shotgun is what makes this weapon so damn strong. While the Phasor's main weapon is okay and does the job eventually, it's the underbarrel shotgun that destroys the battlefield without breaking a sweat. The shotgun on this weapon is just absolutely insanely powerful. Its damage is high, its fire rate is high, and its spread is super tight. And on top of all of that, it also deals splash damage as well, making it that much better. Now, unfortunately, the shotgun's ammo supply is pretty small and you do have to wait for it to regenerate, but that can be negated by ammo regen skills on Flak and Moze, making this weapon especially good on them, though every character can tread with it. If you want this weapon for yourself, it drops from Atomic on the Tazandir Runes map on Necrotafeo. Next up, we have the Light Show, a legendary Vladof pistol that is the very definition of Bulletstorm and is available in all 5 elements in the game. The Light Show is insanely powerful and has not only super high damage, but also a quick fire rate and really good accuracy. The Light Show shoots 4 bullets for the price of 1 in a square pattern that rotates counterclockwise as you fire. This weapon is just super powerful and without any gimmicks manages to be one of the best pistols in the game. There really isn't much else to say about the Light Show. It's just an all-around powerful pistol that performs well with anybody, but is especially powerful with Zane and Moze. If you want one for yourself, it drops from the DLC 3 mini-boss Lazodactyl in the Obsidian Forest on Gehenna. Up next is the Butcher, a legendary Hyperion shotgun available in all elements. The Butcher is another weapon that has been in every Borderlands game, excluding the pre-sequel, and is also one of the only weapons that has been in every mainline game and actually been good in every entry. Borderlands 3's Butcher was pretty good at launch, capable of beating pretty much all of the endgame content with little to no issue. However, just a month after launch, it got nerfed with a 25% damage reduction, which made it just barely too weak to actually be useful. It stayed like this for a while, and we all thought it would just be another relic of the past. That was until almost 2 years later, in June of 2021, where the Butcher got an 88% buff as well as a bonus to its special effect, which finally made it amazing again. The Butcher's special effect is that when firing, there is a chance to add ammo to the magazine rather than take it away. Before the June buff, this chance was pretty high but not too crazy. But now, it's an insanely high chance, and I swear it happens more often than not, which means that any character in Borderlands 3 can now know what it's like to be Moze. The Butcher works well for every Vault Hunter and drops from Raging Titan in the Slaughter Shaft, or can be exchanged for lootograms from Crazy Earl on Sanctuary. Up next is yet another rags to riches story, this time the Crit SMG. The Crit is a unique purple SMG manufactured by Malawan, and although it's only available in the shock element, it is still one of the best SMGs in all of Borderlands 3. Before its buff in November of 2021, this weapon was pretty underwhelming. The Crit is a pretty simple weapon. Its special effect is that when reloading, there is a 5% chance for the weapon to drop on the ground instead. Before this buff, its chance actually used to be a 12.5%, but thankfully it was lowered. With the buff, the Crit SMG also got an insane 540% extra weapon damage, as well as an increase to its Moxie weapon lifesteal to 8%. Making this weapon disgustingly overpowered. Combine that with its 150% critical hit damage and you have yourself the very definition of overpowered. The Crit is insanely good, and to top it all off, it's insanely easy to get. All you have to do is tip Moxie over on Sanctuary a bunch of times until she mails you this gun, at whatever level and mayhem level you're at. The crit is one of the best and easiest ways to start off your Mayhem mode journey, as all you need to do is turn on Mayhem 10 or 11 and tip Moxie and boom, super powerful weapon to start off your farming. The crit performs insanely well on every character, but is better on characters that can negate its special effect, like Amara with her Dread skill, or Moze who will just regen enough ammo to never have to reload. So there you have it, another 8 insanely powerful weapons that help you absolutely destroy everything in Borderlands 3. Are there any others I've missed? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching, I hope you have a fantastic day.